Welcome again. I actually want to start. I don't usually do this, but I would love to start by reading your bio because I think it's super interesting and I'm therefore super excited to chat with you today. Again, thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Dan Pardi, so you are the Chief Health Officer at Qualia Life Sciences, where you lead education to advance health span and peak performance. You are also the founder of HumanOS.me and host of HumanOS Radio, the official podcast of the Sleep Research Society. You have advised Fortune 500 companies and startups through your consultancy, and I know you hold a PhD in cognitive neuroscience from Leiden University and Stanford, and you speak regularly at events like TEDx, VC firms, and Institute for Human Machine Cognition. So I don't know when you sleep, when you find time to sleep. It sounds like you are super, super busy. So again, I'm very honored that you are here today to talk about something super interesting, which is creatine. I know we want to focus on that, which is a supplement that for many years people have seen it like it had a reputation of being just a gym bro product, but nowadays seems like it's one of women's favorites, and new research is showing it might actually be one of the most interesting molecules for brain health, aging, and longevity. But obviously, you are the expert here, so I guess we can just jump right in and talk about like what exactly is this creatine and what role does it play in the body's processes?
So thank you for having me on. I love this subject. I tell the company the story, and sometimes on podcasts, that the first research study that I ever took part in was on creatine in the mid 90s. And at that time, it had just came into the awareness of people. So it was first discovered in 1800, and the researcher at that time named it creatine. So creas means flesh because it's found in muscle. And then in the mid 90s or early 90s, a researcher had identified that it can actually improve sports performance, particularly in like ballistic types of movements, sprinting, jumping, and that became aware. That idea came aware of a researcher who was working with the British Olympic team. And so they started, there was basically 1 kilogram in the global supply. That's it. And so
When was it, where was it produced at?
I don't know where that, at that time, where the
Okay,
1 kilogram was
just one.
produced, but that's all there was, which is like,
That's
to put that
crazy.
in that, yeah, to put that in context, that's one athlete using it for maybe
Yeah.
50 days.
And
So,
a male athlete, do we know? Like, because I feel like it was more like a man's thing in the beginning, right?
yeah, I think that's right. And women athletes could be taking it as well, but really at the time, we didn't know if there were hormonal effects. There wasn't that much known on it, except for some of the basic biochemistry that made it, the researchers look at it as a sports enhancing aid in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, the story, in a way, started in the 90s. And what happened, Kansu, was that their Olympic sprint athlete, Linford Christie, won the gold medal. And afterwards, the story came out that he was taking creatine. And guess what happened? Every male athlete and even female athletes at a high level became interested. And so in the United States, just by 1995, the market was like $30 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it had grown a lot. And then 3 years later, it increased fivefold to up to about 150 million. And so because of where it first made its reputation, it took on that characteristic, that understanding that this
Mm.
is a sports performance product.
Yeah. But
And
I guess
that
now
is,
we are
yeah,
seeing different effects of it, correct?
that's right. So around 2010, the way that I say it is that the research field widened
Mm,
and researchers started to say, well, okay, if it's working in this particular way, why wouldn't it be useful for X, Y, and Z?
mm-hmm,
And that is where instead of just looking at it as an effective sports performance aid, which it is, it also started to be looked at for the brain, for women's health, for immune system, for really a lot of things. And honestly, I think we're not, the tip of the iceberg was just sports performance, but we've not uncovered the entire iceberg. There is a lot more for us to research this compound on.
mm-hmm,
Anything that affects energetics has
mm.
the potential to affect everything in the body. And so it's really exciting. It's a very exciting field.
No, for sure. And so do you think that like, many people chase complicated steps. So if someone like could only take, let's say, three evidence-based supplements, do you think creatine would be one of them? Like should be one of them?
Yeah, that's a really important question because we have limited resources and time. Yeah, sure, there are people out there that take 60 supplements a day, no
Hmm.
doubt. Most of us are trying to make good decisions about what to take,
Hmm.
given how
Yeah.
much time we actually want to invest in
Yeah.
this and how much money. I would say that it is certainly up there because of the
Mhm.
evidence base that we now have. You can also look at things like fish oil and certain minerals.
Yeah.
There's always the
Yeah.
chance to try to like
But I guess if
support the
we think
body.
that if the focus is to live your day, like to basically extend the energy span of the day, let's say,
Yeah,
then I guess we're talking about creatine as well and
I
brain
love the way
fog.
that you put that. Yes, I love the way that you put that. Your energy span within the day. That needs to be, you
I
need to
like this
like,
word. I just thought of
yeah,
this word, but I think it's
that
super
is
important because I feel like a lot of people crash post like 3 p.m. Like you need another coffee, but then you don't want to get caffeinated because then you don't want it to like disrupt your sleep at night. So, yeah.
totally. That is a really great way to think about creatine, and I love that.
And I
So
know like a lot of
kudos.
people, by the way, like associate energy with caffeine or
Yeah.
stimulants. Like, is creatine actually like a more fundamental energy molecule in the body?
Yeah, yeah. So you asked me a very like fundamental question that I've yet to address. So what is it?
Okay.
But I'll go into that because it will lead
Yeah,
right
please.
into answering this question. So creatine is three amino acids, arginine, glycine, and methionine. That's it. It's a very simple molecule.
Mm-hmm.
Your body makes it. So it makes about 1 or 2 grams a day. And the way that that works is that it's not made all over the body. It starts in the kidneys, and the very first part of the reaction takes place there. Then the rest of the synthesis of creatine occurs in the liver, and then it sends it out into circulation, and then tissues absorb it from circulation through transporters, except in the brain. The brain can make some too, but most of creatine is basically brought into cells in that particular way. We also eat it if you are eating animal products. So vegans and vegetarians virtually have no creatine in their diet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're eating an omnivore diet, so you're eating meat, meat sources and also veggies as well, you'll probably take in about 1 to 2 grams a day, and your body will make 1 or 2 grams a day, and then that's absorbed into tissues. particularly muscles. About 95% of your creatine is stored in muscles, are very hungry for it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so that's
Okay.
where we make it. That's how we consume it. And then, of course, we can now take supplements. When you take supplementation,
Mm.
you're really topping off your levels. You're going to increase your muscle creatine stores by about 20%. But if you're like if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you can increase your muscle stores by up to 40%. Big increases in
Wow.
muscle creatine.
What about like you mentioned liver?
Yeah.
If someone has some like liver issues, is it like not safe to supplement creatine or
Yeah, so I've not seen anything. It
that's
really has
got
proven
it.
that the question had been more around kidneys. Is it safe
Oh,
for
okay.
your kidneys? And the reason why is because if you're looking at kidney health and
Mm,
you see elevated levels of creatinine, then
okay.
that is a marker of
Mm.
poor kidney
Or
function.
someone with a history with kidney stone, I guess. Is it?
Those are the questions.
Got it.
Now, guess what happens to your creatinine levels if you take creatine? By the way, creatinine is a breakdown product of creatine. You'll see these levels that
Mm,
rise, but it's not indicative of poor kidney health or damaged kidneys. It's just because you're now taking in a higher amount of creatine.
okay.
And so that led to some confusion for a
Interesting.
while, but that has been very carefully monitored by certain groups over time. And there is no evidence that this
Okay.
is damaging to kidneys. In fact, you
Got
could
it.
even argue that it could even potentially, this is me just thinking about the science behind this, but because the kidneys are part of making creatine, then if you are taking it, you're actually easing the burden of
Mm,
the kidneys to make it.
interesting.
So that would
Okay.
be interesting to research. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And to continue with like on the facts and myths, obviously, like one of the biggest, I guess I will say, myths is that it causes bloating. And a lot of
Yeah.
women are like afraid of that. So, can we touch on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, that was another myth that lasted for a long time, really since the beginning
Yeah,
of like the mid 90s when it started to become, people became more aware of it and started to
yeah.
use it. So creatine is a water-loving molecule, hydrophilic. And
Mm,
so when you absorb creatine and you pull in 50 grams of water per gram of creatine, so it's definitely pulling in water. But where is creatine stored? It's not stored outside of your cells, it's stored inside of your cells. So you're pulling more water inside of your cells.
wow.
And so there's a very big difference between
Doesn't it
like,
cause any expansion outside?
no, that's like, it's not the same if you have this huge bowl of 2000 milligrams of sodium. That's going to make you that like kind of squishy feeling
That's
because
a good
that's going to be
example, actually.
extracellular water, right?
Yeah.
Creatine is actually going to do the opposite. It's going to be pulling water into the cells. And so the other myth that came with it is, oh, I'm going to be getting really bulky.
Yes.
No, that look, if you will, comes from years of training, years of training. It doesn't sneak up on you and it doesn't happen in a week. But what you do feel is imagine that feeling you do a good workout and your muscles feel a little bit fuller and tight. That's the feeling that creatine gives you. But that's very personal to like who your body in the moment. And people love that feeling because it just feels like you're feeling strong, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make you bulky.
It's good to clarify that. And what about like, let's say someone is just starting, like how should be the dosage go?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
is it 5 grams, like which was the gold standard? Is that true or
Yeah, and I want to get back to the energetics in the afternoon, but let's talk about dosing. So the typical dose from the beginning is 5 grams a day. But when you start, you can load up your muscles with creatine faster if
and
you
sorry, by the way,
do,
do you take it only on the days that you work out or
you would take it
every
every,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So you take it every day in the morning.
in the
Timing
morning.
does matter, and we'll circle back to that because of the effects on energy. But the way that it is typically taken in the beginning is you take four 5 gram doses, so 20 grams for 5 to 7 days. And what that does is it helps you fill up your muscles with creatine up to that saturation point, so that 20% increase
Mm.
sooner. Now, if you don't load, if you just do 5 grams a day, you'll get to the same place, exact same place in probably 3 weeks. So
Okay.
do you need to load? No,
No.
but a lot of people do.
Thank you. You said you wanted to go back to talk
You had
about
that really good point about the energy span in your
energy.
day. Yeah. So we know you can't, you drink caffeine in the afternoon and it has a very long half-life, 15 hours.
Mm.
So even though your body is breaking it down, it can still affect your depth of sleep at night if you have it too late in the day. So you don't want that. That's why most
Oh,
people will recommend having your last cup of coffee, before noon, before 11. It kind
mm,
of depends on you. Are you a slow metabolizer, fast metabolizer? But you do want to have it earlier.
I
And
see.
yet you brought up that mid-afternoon crash that we all experience. We experience that because that is a biological dip, and that's why some cultures, like in Spain, take a siesta and have an afternoon nap, which sounds lovely. What happens is that you have from morning until night, you are building up what we call sleep pressure. So this is the sleep scientist in me talking about our
Yes,
wakefulness
tell us.
across the day. All right.
Okay.
But it's not like you wake up in the morning and you just get sleepier and sleepier and sleepier until night. That's usually have good days or bad days, but
Mm.
your energy is kind of what it is on that day, except in that afternoon dip.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is because we also have a counteracting force to this increase in sleep pressure that is building.
Okay.
And that counteracting force is circadian, it's
Mm.
orchestrated by your circadian rhythm, and it is aligning multiple different wake systems in the brain so that they're working in harmony to create what we call wake drive. So, wake drive is also building in intensity over the day to
Mm.
counteract sleep pressure that's
Okay.
building in over the day. That wake drive takes a little dip between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. And so you
Does.
feel
Mhm.
that sleep pressure more in that window, which is means that it's a great time to take a nap if you can. Most people can't, and so you just feel like it is an unproductive, tired part of your day.
Interesting. So then
Yeah.
it naturally just like picks up after four. Like
Yeah. Then you enter into a phase that we call the wake maintenance zone. Some of your
I
best
had
alert,
no clue. Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, some of your best alertness in the day happens after 4 p.m. because your wake drive is operating at full tilt up until the point where then it
Now I
dips
know
down.
why. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's super interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is why the timing of your circadian rhythm really matters to the quality of your daytime mental function. Because if you don't get enough light, you're getting too much in the evening, you can move the timing of that wake drive. And so there's a scenario when I'm working with the US military and other in firms where you basically have shifted your circadian rhythm in a way because you're indoor low lighting too much during the day, too
Mm.
much bright light at night, and your rhythm shifts.
Yeah.
So now you're under alerted all day, and then right before bed, guess what happens? You want to go to sleep, but that now all of a sudden you're
Ah,
way too awake
yeah.
because the way
There's a
the
conflict between the
yeah. And so you're like, oh, I'm so tired, but now I'm wide awake until
uh,
midnight, and I'm now only going to get 6 hours of time in bed. and you perpetuate that cycle.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's a really important consequence. Now, how does creatine play into this? Well, creatine, if we go back to that sleep pressure idea, what does that mean from a physiological perspective? That is an increasing amount of adenosine,
Mm.
which makes perfect sense. So, as your brain is used during the day, both during conscious, subconscious, and non-conscious processes. The brain's just working hard, whether you're thinking hard or not.
Mm.
It's working when you're up. And it's a very energy hungry organ.
Mm.
And so as a result, you have an increasing amount of free adenosine that builds up in the extracellular space in the brain. And so guess what caffeine does? It is an adenosine antagonist. It blocks the receptor that adenosine binds to. And what does that make you feel? Alert.
Right.
What
Yeah.
does creatine do? It helps to resynthesize adenosine into adenosine triphosphate. So you are actually maintaining your energy levels better
Okay.
throughout the day. And therefore, it is really, instead of blocking the signal, like with creatine, you're preventing the creation of that signal
I
when
see.
you have creatine on board. And so your alertness doesn't, you never feel stimulated with
Mm.
creatine. You just feel wide awake. You feel really good. So it's kind of miraculous in some
Yeah.
ways once you
No, it
learn about it and
sounds
learn how
like
to
it.
use it.
Yeah. I have a question for you. I think it's something that people will be really interested to hear about, especially in the biohacking space. As you know, peptides are having a huge moment right now. Everything like from BPC 157 to, thymosin. Like,
Yeah.
how do you think about like peptides versus like something foundational like creatine?
Yeah, so peptides are really interesting. It's hard to like make a comment on the entire category, but in some ways, all things that are in a way new will have a honeymoon period because the benefits of them are visible before the full complement of side effects.
Right.
And so that's not meant to fearmonger, make people scared, because what you're seeing is that there's some real interesting benefits
So,
to
yeah.
them. And both can be true, that there are real exciting benefits to peptides, and also we don't know everything about them, and we're going to learn more as more people use them. Let's hope that those
Yeah.
those side effects are going to not be as, they're not going to be as serious. We can sometimes learn. Like, I'll give you an example, like with certain anti-inflammatories. This is not peptides related, but with COX-2 inhibitors, they were amazing at helping people's joints feel better right off the bat. But
Mm.
then after 18 months of usage, you saw really dramatic increases in cardiovascular events.
Mm.
And so whenever you're affecting your biology in a significant way, there is a downstream potential for some untoward side effects to manifest. And you just have to keep that in mind. And,
Yeah.
everybody has to make a decision about what
Yeah.
feels right to them.
Yeah. What
But
works
I
for
always
them.
keep
Yeah.
that kind of sober perspective when
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I
about,
understand. No, I think it
yeah,
makes sense. As you said, like they're definitely a trend right now, um, versus like something like creatine coming
yeah.
from what year you said it started 18 something. When did it start?
Yeah, it was identified in 1830
Crazy.
by
Yeah.
yeah, by a man Mikhail Eugene Gevrel. And really it just sat in textbooks. So he
Yeah.
identified it in 1832 and basically, he's like characterized it, identified it, and then really we didn't develop much more knowledge on it.
Mhm.
A little bit, something more around the structure, but it just sat there for more than 100 years until Roger Harris started to research it directly.
So in this part of the podcast, I call it like fun rapid fire. I
Okay,
basically like read you a couple of like statements and then you tell me if it's bullshit, BS or no BS. Um,
sure.
so are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Okay, first one. Creatine causes bloating. BS or
B-
no BS?
That's BS.
Creatine is only useful for athletes.
Definitely BS.
Creatine improves cognitive performance.
Definitely true, but under conditions of higher stress. Whether it improves performance under normal conditions, those are harder to see, but also possibly true.
Okay. Next one. Creatine helps with sleep deprivation.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. And I'm emphasizing it because I've experienced it so clearly myself. But yeah, I know this is rapid fire, but 20 seconds on it when
Okay.
you're not. So what happens? The sleep pressure across the day, that adenosine builds up. And guess what happens at night when you sleep it off? All that adenosine gets worn down when you're in slow wave sleep and other stages of sleep. What happens if you don't sleep enough? You're now not only you're building on top of yesterday's unresolved sleep pressure, and so you're starting the day feeling super, super groggy, and creatine absolutely helps with that. And there's multiple very compelling evidence studies that show that that is clearly true, and I can endorse that as well from a personal
Okay.
perspective.
That was powerful. Next, women benefit from creatine as much as men.
Definitely, and possibly more. Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is
Wow.
because I know. And this is, I think, really one of the most exciting parts for me because women, of course, experience energy fluctuations due to hormonal cycling.
Correct.
And hormones also, like estrogen and progesterone, affect the transporter for creatine. And so yeah, it's very
Actually, I want to
complex.
exit from this rapid fire mode for a second because you just brought something to mind, like as it relates to, women's hormonal like cycles and everything. So, is it something that women can take on specific periods of the month, or does it have to be like consistent that it builds up like the reserves inside our bodies?
Yeah, so maybe both. The best thing to do is to maintain, I would say for most people, take 5 grams a day. Yeah.
Okay.
Men, women, different ages, that's good. You're
Okay.
building in some resilience there.
Okay.
However, during periods of time where your sleep is affected, you're under stress, going up to, let's say, 10 grams a day, you might experience more benefit from how you feel. And I encourage people to try that out. There are more and more people that are now taking 10 grams a day because the muscles are so hungry for it. A lot of that 5 grams is going right into the muscles. And the reason why people are taking 10 is because now there's overflow
Mm.
after the muscles absorb it to get
Okay.
to other tissues.
Okay, interesting. In closing, if someone listening today wants to protect their brain and, extend their health span, what are the three most important things they should start doing this year, in your opinion?
So I'm going to give 2 supplements and one behavioral practice.
Okay.
So some friends of mine, Dr. Tommy Wood, who just came out with a book called The Stimulated Mind. I encourage everybody to look at it. It's how to keep your brain healthy. And Dr. Josh Turknett, who is also an author. He's a neurologist. Those two have come up with what they call the demand coupling theory of healthy brain aging. And the idea is as follows. We look at a lot of supplements that affect the brain,
Mm-hmm.
and as like, oh, that's the solution. But that is equivalent to us saying protein is the solution for muscle building. What's missing? Working out, right? You have to, if you want to build muscle and sustain it, you have to provide the
Yeah, it
stimulus
doesn't
and then
work on its own.
it doesn't really work on its own.
Yeah.
You have to provide the stimulus and the supportive nutrients. So yes, there are a lot of supportive nutrients, but you have to use your brain in a particular way.
All right.
And what that means when you're young, the brain is naturally working incredibly hard by learning language, learning socialization. All of the things that are incumbent to that phase of life
Mhm.
create a lot of demand on the brain, learning how to walk and move and
Right.
coordination. Then you get into a period of midlife where you've learned a lot of information that you can now use on a daily basis
Mhm.
in your work. But
Mhm.
that's kind of like going to the gym every day and doing the same workout. And then after in later life, people have different paths. Some people the information becomes very passive. They stop reading, they're just listening to television, they stop really using their brain and thinking hard, and that is going to be predictive of a decline. So, the best thing that people can do is to continue to engage in novel challenges, play an instrument, pick up a new sport, be bad at stuff. And we don't like being bad at stuff, but bad means your brain
Right.
is in this period of like high, it's perfect for your brain. And so if you can look at it and have fun, take dance lessons,
Yeah.
do all
I
sorts of
actually
things
just
that are
started this
challenging.
week.
Nice. Good for you.
Thank you.
All right, number two, choline. Choline found most canonically in eggs, egg yolks. Only 10% of the United States gets enough choline. Very important for
Wow.
your brain, for anxiety.
Mm,
I wrote a newsletter on that not that long ago. And so your brain is needing choline. And so eat a lot of eggs or even consider supplementing with it. And then creatine. Creatine, more needs to be done looking at the preservation of brain function and health
mm.
in the brain with long-term creatine usage, but all signs point so far to this being something that's definitely worth including
Okay.
in your health span protocol. I am. So those three, use your
Okay.
brain, take on challenges, have fun with it, be okay being a novice,
I know.
and then provide those nutrients. Yeah,
Okay. Awesome. This was super informative. Like, I feel like this is gonna be really interesting for a lot of people.
I
So,
hope so. Yeah.
thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. I also learned a lot today.
Good, good, good.
Uh,
Oh, I'm glad
feel
to hear that.
inspired. And we will put, so before we actually close, where can people find you? I will obviously add these links in the description, but if you would like to note it also,
Yeah.
please feel free.
So I would like for people to think about our company, Qualia Life Sciences. Obviously, we sell products, but we are a company that is dedicated to helping people with their health and health span. And we do that in a variety of ways. One way is putting out really good, we hope, educational content. So we have a blog, very active on that. And we cover things related to our helping inform people about an ingredient in one of our products and a connection that we never get to talk about. But we cover other topics too. We wrote an article on brain rot recently, which was the, I think, word of the year for Webster in 2024. And it's fascinating. You got to go and read it. It's
Yeah,
how social media specifically changes the brain. And I bet everybody who reads that article is going to
I wouldn't be
relate.
surprised. Yeah,
Yeah, how you will relate to the very specific way it changes
yeah.
your brain. You'll be like, oh my gosh, that's me. And then some things to do about that help.
Mm.
So yes, you can go there to find really good information and follow us there. More information about our products to, and get more informed to buy them. That's our mission, right? We are definitely a mission-driven company, and we try to help in all these different ways.
Mm.
So go
Awesome.
check us out. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kanto. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.